Violet and Alice stood in the breakfast line. Alice chattered away, oblivious to the fact that Violet's mind was miles away. From her spot, Violet could only see part of the 4 thrones, as she'd started to call them. But their presence was heavy, and she was incredibly relieved they were empty. After last night's weird dream with Asher, she wasn't sure she could handle seeing any of the Cardinal Alphas, especially Griffin. Turns out they weren't just intense, they were full of themselves too. Who needed thrones in a school cafeteria? Them, apparently. Like they were the kings of Lunaris Academy or something. At least there wasn't a self-proclaimed queen. Violet would have lost it completely. She could see the elite students upstairs, mostly girls, acting all superior, while everyone else downstairs was getting their own food. Violet noticed some kids actually serving the elites. She remembered Alice saying she wanted to be Violet's lackey. Was this what she meant? This school was seriously messing with Violet's head. "Earth to Violet!" Alice snapped her fingers in front of Violet's face. "The line's moving." Violet realized she'd zoned out and left a gap between herself and Alice, causing some grumbling from the people behind her. She saw someone trying to cut in, but she quickly closed the gap, giving a kid a death stare. He muttered something under his breath, but she ignored him. She was not in the mood for drama. Then, out of nowhere, some girl just waltzed past the entire line right to the front. She grabbed a plate and started piling on food from the buffet like she owned the place. Violet waited for someone to say something, anything, but no. Everyone just acted like this was normal. "Why aren't they doing anything?" Violet asked, confused. "Be quiet!" Alice hissed, her eyes wide. "Seriously, why?" Violet whispered fiercely. "I space out for a second, and these jerks behind me," she gestured to the impatient students, "try to cut in line, but she just comes in and takes whatever she wants and nobody cares." "That's because it's Hope," Alice said, like that explained everything. "So, who is Hope?" "Oh my God, Violet, keep your voice down. You're gonna get us in trouble," Alice said, looking around nervously. Alice's serious tone made Violet chill out a bit, though she was still curious. "Fine, fill me in. What's the deal?" she asked quietly. Alice gave her a look. "You didn't even bother looking up the top 20, did you?" "Nope. Why would I? It's not my problem. I don't care who they are or what special treatment they get for being bullies." Besides, Violet had been kind of preoccupied with that bizarre dream encounter with Asher. Alice facepalmed. "Seriously?" she muttered. Violet almost felt sorry for her, but Alice was the one obsessed with the school's social ladder. If it had been anything actually important, Violet wouldn't have cared less. Just then, Hope strolled past, tray balanced perfectly as she headed for the stairs, up to the VIP section. Violet's eyes narrowed. Hope's skirt was way shorter than allowed. Did Principal Jameson not notice? Or did Hope's immunity extend to the dress code too? "What rank is she?" Violet asked. "She's not in the top 20, Alice replied. Violet raised an eyebrow. "Then who is she and why is she up there?" "She's Autumn's, personal assistant." "Personal assistant?" "Yeah, like a lackey, servant, gopher, whatever." "Who's Autumn?" "Number 1. Violet's ears perked up. "You mean number 1 on the Luna board?" Alice nodded seriously. "Yep, Autumn Carson, number 1 elite student, and the only pure-blooded she-wolf in the whole school." That stopped Violet short. She didn't care about school politics, but this was different. A pure-blooded she-wolf? They were legendary, practically worshipped, almost extinct too. Alphas would practically kill for a chance to marry one. Marrying a pureblood meant the possibility of having a true werewolf baby, not one with diluted genes from a human werewolf pairing. It wasn't hard to spot Autumn. Violet followed Hope's path, until she set the tray down at the table, where a girl with striking silver hair sat. The silver practically glowed under the dining hall lights, and Violet couldn't tear her eyes away. Autumn had this intense magnetic presence. Before Violet could look away, Alice whispered, "And get this, I heard Autumn's supposed to marry one of the Cardinal Alphas after graduation." That was a bombshell. Autumn was marrying one of the Cardinal Alphas? Which one? Violet didn't even understand why she cared. It wasn't her business, but she had to know. As if she'd felt their stares, Autumn turned and locked eyes with Violet. Autumn Carson was stunning. Her vivid blue eyes were so captivating that they could make anyone stop in their tracks. Her heart-shaped face, pointed nose, and full lips were totally alluring. But beneath the charm, Violet sensed a coldness. Like Autumn's beauty was just a mask. It wasn't just her looks, it was her posture, the way she held herself, the way she looked down on everyone. To Autumn, Violet was nothing. Autumn's gaze felt like a challenge, as if she'd expected Violet to back down. Alice, noting the tension, whispered urgently, "Look away, Violet! Don't engage her." But Violet never backed down. She wasn't scared of some queen bee who ruled by intimidation. So what if Autumn was a pure-blooded she-wolf? Big deal. It wasn't like it was some special talent. Violet knew the real reason purebloods were so prized: their ability to have lots of pure-blooded babies. It was all about boosting the werewolf population. Hope must have caught Autumn's attention because Autumn was the first to look away. That small victory gave Violet a flicker of satisfaction. She decided right then that she didn't like Autumn, and it wasn't because Autumn was supposed to marry one of the Cardinal Alphas. Violet honestly didn't care. She kind of hoped it was Asher. Maybe then he'd leave her alone. No, Violet disliked Autumn because she knew girls like her, the ones who acted all angelic while hiding their true selves. They were wolves in sheep's clothing. "Let's go," Alice urged, pulling Violet away before things escalated. Alice swore Violet was going to give her a heart attack one of these days. The line moved quickly. When it was their turn, Violet's eyes widened at the food spread on the long, polished table. The luxury was unreal. Each steaming dish promised a hot, fresh meal. If anything could convince her to stay at Lunaris, it would be the food. It was a total food paradise, way better than anything she had back home. Golden scrambled eggs, crispy smoked bacon, honey-glazed sausages, fluffy pancakes, waffles with fresh berries, croissants, danishes, muffins, and a mountain of fresh fruit. It was overwhelming. Even if she took a little of everything, she wouldn't be able to finish it all. She settled for scrambled eggs with herbs, a couple of bacon strips, and some hash browns, plus a warm croissant. Alice caught up, her plate piled high. She gave Violet a look. "Is that all you're taking?" Violet nodded. Alice stared, then glanced around. "If you're worried about the guys judging you, don't be. The alphas like girls who can eat. Look around." Violet followed Alice's gaze, and her jaw dropped. The other students' plates were overflowing, especially the werewolves. Their portions were gigantic, like mountain ranges about to topple over. "Of course," Violet said, watching a werewolf practically inhale a plate piled high with food. It made sense that they needed the extra fuel to keep up with their supercharged metabolisms. Still, it was crazy to see. "I didn't take this much food because of the alphas." Yeah, I get it," Alice said, rolling her eyes. "But you still gotta eat more, girl." Before Violet could argue, Alice dumped a scoop of roasted potatoes onto her plate. Violet let it slide. Those crispy edges looked way too good to pass up. She grabbed her tray and made a beeline for a table, hoping to escape before Alice decided to add anything else. But she didn't get far. Alice grabbed her arm. "Where do you think you're going? Your spot's upstairs." She pointed toward the balcony where the elites were eating. "Yeah, about that." Violet glanced at the privileged students above. "I think I'll eat down here unless I want to get a major case of indigestion." "No, Violet, I don't think." Alice started, but Violet was already heading for a table on the lower level. She pulled out a chair and sat down, ready to dig in. But the second she sat, the chatter around her died down. Violet looked up, totally unbothered. "Please," she said to the staring students. "Don't mind me. Keep talking." But instead of going back to their conversations, the entire floor went silent. Every single eye was on Violet, like she'd just broken some major rule. "Ugh, great," Violet muttered. Indigestion was definitely on the menu now. What had she done in the past life to deserve this? Lost in the deliciousness of a warm croissant, Violet briefly closed her eyes, a soft moan escaping her lips. This was the life. But the moment was shattered by Alice's panicked cry. "Violet, look out!" Just in time, Violet dodged a spray of food and drink, her breakfast crashing to the floor. "What the hell?" she snapped, looking up to see a girl glaring down at her, pure disgust twisting her features. "So this is what they replaced me with?" The girl spat, pointing at Violet. "She doesn't even know the freaking rules." It clicked. This was the girl whose spot on the Luna board Violet had taken number 20. Great. And for once, Violet was completely innocent. The entire cafeteria froze, eyes glued to the scene. Phones came out, ready to record the drama. Everyone expected a fight. But Violet calmly brushed croissant crumbs off her clothes. The girl was ready to brawl, but Violet simply turned her back. The ultimate diss. It screamed, "You're not even worth my time." Violet knew the elite students upstairs were watching, waiting for her to snap. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. If she played it cool, maybe they'd find her boring and leave her alone. Then she could go back to her anonymous life at the bottom of the food chain. Bliss. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Don't ignore me, you..." The girl shrieked. That stopped Violet cold. All pretense of calm vanished. That insult was a line she wouldn't let anyone cross. This girl needed a lesson. The girl's confident smirk faltered as Violet turned, a storm brewing in her eyes. In a flash, Violet was standing right in front of her, the girl scrambling into a fighting stance. Violet raised an eyebrow. "So she thinks she can fight? Good. These preppy princesses had no idea how a street kid like her threw down." "What's your name?" Violet asked, momentarily pausing the inevitable showdown. The girl blinked, thrown off. "Paige!" she started. Then her face twisted in outrage. "Wait, you don't even know my name, and you stole my spot?" The cafeteria went silent. Nobody, not even the lunch ladies, dared to make a sound. Violet poured gasoline on the fire. "Sorry, I don't usually bother learning the names of people beneath me." "You!" Paige's eyes blazed. She swung. But Violet saw it coming a mile away. She dodged, grabbed Paige's arm, and twisted it behind her back. Paige yelped. "How dare you! You even know who I am!" Paige shrieked, struggling to break free. Violet ignored her, grabbed her hair, and forced her to face the crowd. "Listen up, everyone!" Violet announced, her voice ringing through the silent cafeteria. "I don't care who you are, where you're from, or what fancy privileges you have at this school," she continued, locking eyes with Autumn, the silver-haired girl whose attention she now captured. "I came here to learn, and that's what I'm going to do. I know my place, and I'm not trying to climb the social ladder. So I'll stay in my lane, and you stay in yours. No drama, no fights. Just leave me alone, and we're good." Violet's voice hardened. "Oh, and one more thing. No name-calling, especially the W word." She grinned, all teeth. "That one really ticks me off." But Paige didn't get the memo. "You're nothing but a... You think we don't know?" That was it. Violet dragged Paige to the spilled food and shoved her face right into the mess. Paige sputtered and thrashed, but Violet held her down. Gasps echoed around them. This was definitely not what they expected. "Where I come from, we don't waste food," Violet said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "And if it falls on the floor, you pick it up, just like you're doing now." Paige finally stopped struggling, and Violet let go. The girl was sobbing, her face and hair covered in food. Violet stood up straight and scanned the room, daring anyone to challenge her. Her gaze lingered on the elite students, all watching with rapt attention. Suddenly, one of the girls in the elite section stood up and started clapping slowly, together, until the whole elite section was applauding. The rest of the cafeteria followed suit, and the room erupted in applause. Violet should have felt triumphant, but a wave of dread washed over her. This wasn't normal applause. There was a strange look of pride on their faces. They were accepting her. Somehow this twisted showdown had become some sort of initiation, and she'd passed. No. Violet's blood ran cold. This wasn't what she wanted. She didn't want to be one of them. Heart pounding, Violet bolted. She had to get out of there. She needed to find Principal Jameson and drop out of this nightmare today. As she ran, she saw the other students swarming Paige, recording her humiliation. Violet felt a flicker of pity, almost. But Paige had totally brought this on herself, dragging her background into the fight, and Violet had way bigger fish to fry than some petty ex-top 20 princess. Violet didn't waste a second heading to the administrative floor. She ignored Alice, who asked where she was going. Alice didn't need to know, especially not if she'd try to stop her. The receptionist glanced up, then basically ignored Violet, her eyes glued to her phone. Gunfire blasted from some movie she was watching, loud enough to drown out the office sounds. Violet couldn't tell if she was supposed to go in or get lost. She chose to go in. Violet knocked firmly on the office door. No answer. She knocked again, wondering if Principal Jameson was even there. It wasn't 8 a.m. yet. She'd left the dining hall planning to get things sorted before the first period, hopefully leaving school after getting dismissed. Everything was perfectly planned. When no one answered again, Violet frowned. Maybe that's why the receptionist ignored her. A heads up would have been nice. What a jerk. Frustrated, Violet turned to leave, then clearly heard, "Come in." Her heart raced. This was it. She'd walk in, demand they revoke her scholarship, and Principal Jameson would do it. Violet had made up her mind. She walked in, heart pounding. She saw Principal Jameson sitting in her executive chair, back turned. For a second, Violet thought something looked different, like her build was bigger. But she shrugged it off, figuring it was just her imagination. Who else would be in the principal's chair? Ignoring the weird feeling, Violet straightened up. She cleared her throat, gathering her courage. "Principal Jameson, I need to talk to you." Principal Jameson didn't answer for over a minute. An awkward silence hung in the air. Figuring she might as well just come out with it, Violet dropped the bomb. "I don't want to go to school here anymore, Principal Jameson. Please revoke my scholarship and give it to someone else." There, it was out. Violet felt lighter, like a weight had been lifted. Now, there was no way the principal could ignore her. The chair started to swivel. Violet held her breath. But when the chair finally turned around, the face she saw made her blood run cold. "You have got to be kidding me." It wasn't Principal Jameson. It was Asher freaking Nightshade, sitting in her chair. Violet's mind raced. Shock turned to disbelief, then anger, then fear, then even more fear, as her survival instincts kicked in. This was Asher, and he wasn't even wearing his sunglasses. His intense amber eyes locked onto hers. Creepy, reptilian, and way too focused. Violet swallowed. Do tell me, Violet. Asher Nightshade finally spoke, his voice disturbingly calm, masking the storm brewing beneath. What's this I hear about you wanting to ditch the scholarship? The question hung in the air, heavy as a judge's gavel, and Violet gulped. This was the first time Asher had spoken to her without a nickname. Yep, she'd totally messed up. Before Asher could even blink, Violet was ready to run, adrenaline pumping. She had to get out. But his voice sliced through her thoughts, sharp and commanding. Don't move. Violet froze. Relax. Just one word, and all the tension drained away. Violet stood there, strangely comfortable, as if hanging out with an old friend. Moments ago, she'd wanted to run from this devil. Asher stood up, and despite his command, Violet's heart hammered. She knew this psycho was the reason she was at this school, and trying to leave was like slapping him in the face. How did he even know she'd come here? Had he predicted it? A chill ran down her spine. If he had, this guy was way more dangerous than she thought. Someone could read her better than she knew herself? Nope, not someone she wanted to cross. But then anger surged. Who was he to tell her what to do? She was her own person. Leaving this school was her choice, not his. So when Asher stepped closer, towering over her, she spat. It's none of your business if I leave or stay, you mind freak. She knew she shouldn't have insulted him. It was like throwing gasoline on a fire. But weirdly, Asher didn't seem to mind. He burst out laughing. The sound should have been creepy, but it was smooth and rich, sending shivers down her spine. Oh, my little purple. Asher cooed, cupping her face in his hands. His touch was surprisingly warm and gentle, totally not what she'd expect from a monster. You're so predictable, he whispered, and that made her blood run cold. What did he mean? Was he saying there was no escape? That he already knew her every move? Wait, was he in her head this whole time? Violet had no idea how his powers worked anymore. Can you read my mind? No. She swallowed nervously. Are you reading my mind right now? Asher chuckled. How silly to think that just because I control minds, I can read them too. She narrowed her eyes. You said I'm predictable. I'm skilled at mind control, which means I can figure out a lot about someone's state of mind just by watching them. It's more like guessing than actually reading thoughts. Violet flinched, remembering him cutting her hair before. She hoped he didn't have some weird hair thing. She'd probably end up bald. It's kind of offensive, though, Asher said, pretending to be disappointed. Assuming that just because I can control minds, I also read them? That's so bad of you, my little purple flower. He scolded her like a kid. But don't sweat it. He continued, his voice changing. You'll have tons of chances to learn more about me in the next. He checked his fancy watch. 20 minutes of our first date. Well, in real life, anyway. What?
Hey amazing viewers, it's Voilette here. Thanks for sticking with us. By the time of the release of this video, only 7.3% of our viewers have joined the party by subscribing, and 92.7% of you might miss out on our next mind-blowing video. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join the exclusive club.